Right. There you go.
Oh. But is Millie coming?
I just admitted her.
Okay. So should we wait a few minutes for Millie? There
She's
she
here.
is.
Yep. Oops.
Oh, got the wrong. I have an agenda, unfortunately, that. Oh, never mind. Hold on. Okay, we're good. So everybody good to start? Okay. Welcome everybody to the Park and Recreation monthly meeting. Today's December 9th. And I need to read an opening statement. Please note at the beginning of each Park and Recreation meeting, there is an opportunity for public comment related to any park or recreation topic. These comments should address a topic not included on the agenda or those items on the agenda that do not have public comment included as part of the agenda item. You will have a maximum of 2 minutes to share your comments. If you do not have the opportunity to speak during the allotted time, please submit your comments in writing to the Park and Recreation Commission at parkandrecommission@brooklinema.gov. Thank you. All right. I hope everybody's had time to review the minutes from our November meeting. And do I have any comments that haven't been submitted? Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved, Jane.
Lauren, I think because we're being recorded, you have to say, not raise your
Sorry.
hand.
I don't have much voice. Second,
Who moved?
Jane.
Jane. Thank you, Jane. Okay, and I'm going to call roll for minute approval. And I can't remember if we were all here last time, but if we weren't, abstain. If you weren't here, abstain. Okay, Lauren?
Aye.
Jane?
Aye.
Debbie?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Teresa?
Aye.
Carol?
Yes.
And I say aye, so that is done. Okay, do we have any public comment on matters not on the agenda? Seeing none, we will move on. All right, the next item we have is a presentation on the electric charging, the EV charging at Robinson Playground. And Sam, are you going to do the presentation?
It's actually me this evening, Clara.
Pardon me?
It's me. It's Alexandra.
Oh, it's okay. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Are we starting with Robinson or are we starting with Warren?
We're starting with Robinson.
Robinson, then Warren. Sorry.
Okay, cool. No, all good.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Alexandra Vecchio. For those of you I don't know, I was formerly the Director of Parks and Open Space and now serve as the Director of Sustainability. So nice to see some of you new commissioners for the first time and good to see folks I worked with before again. So this evening, you have two agenda items that I'll be talking to you about related to sustainability in parks. So our first one is on-street electric vehicle charging stations. So I will just pull up a presentation. Lori, if you'll allow me to share my screen.
You should be able to. I have to make you. Hang on 1 second. I have to make you. Okay, you're a co-host now. You should be fine.
Thank you.
Sorry for that.
No, no problem. Alrighty, so are folks able to see my slides okay? Great, awesome, thank you. So recently, the division received a grant from Mass CEC, which is the Massachusetts Clean Energy Center, for on-street EV charging stations. So the grant is up to $500,000 to install stations on street, as the name clearly clarifies. And so the goal is really to increase access to EV charging in high density residential areas that, either because of they're possibly in multi-family housing, possibly renters, don't have access to installing EV charging stations on their own. And so this is really the next phase of Brookline's electric vehicle charging network. We've done a great job of adding EV charging stations throughout our public parking lots. And so the next phase is really looking at on-street. So the map on here shows you where our existing charging stations are. We have those throughout North and South Brookline. As you all might recall, we have some charging stations at our parks as well. So we currently have charging stations at Sewell, Lars Anderson, Elliott Rec Center, as well as Skyline, although that one is still pending completion of the project with Eversource. So for this Mass CEC grant, we did a pretty thorough public engagement process, getting opinions from anyone in the town of Brookline as to where there was most need and desire for on-street charging. And so 3 sites were selected, 127 Freeman Street and 175 Freeman Street, 7 Edgemont Street, and then 288 Cypress Street, which is just outside of Robinson Playground, which is the one I'm here to talk to you about this evening. So the desire is that these charging stations, for those familiar with EV charging, they're typically pedestal mounted, so they're in the ground, and that's usually what you see in parking lots. In this case, we're actually going to try for the first time pole mounted stations. So where you see that orange box on the utility pole there, that's where the actual charging station would be. It's one charging station that will have dual ports, so 2 cars can utilize it at the same time. And these will be level 2 charging stations. So the impact to the park would be that we would need to have 1 electricity distribution cabinet located just inside the fence of the park, so that it can then connect to the pole-mounted station. So there's no impact to any of the existing trees there. Any work through the fence or to the turf would be replaced in kind as part of the grant program. And the anticipated construction would be this coming spring. And in terms of the actual operations of that, the parking regulations would really remain what they currently are. So it's an EV only spot while you're charging. And if you're not charging, then you are not, it doesn't have to be an EV vehicle. There are no other changes to the parking regulations. So right now, parking there is 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. only. There's a 2-hour limit, except on Sundays and holidays. So all of that remains the same. And as is typical with our other EV charging stations, it would be a 35 cents per kilowatt hour charge. So I wanted to make sure that before any of the work moved forward, that the Park and Rec Commission was both aware of the project and to hear any questions folks had about the work that we're doing there. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions. Lauren?
Thanks. Hi, Alexandra.
Hi, Lauren. Good to see you.
So I am one of the people, so I have a plug-in hybrid car and I live in Coolidge Corner. And I don't have access easily to a charging station. So when you said there was a robust public process, I never heard about it, honestly. I don't know if I'm on the wrong lists, I'm not getting the right emails, that kind of thing. That's very possible. But as a commissioner, I mean, other than just, the agenda item and all that, I don't recall. I just went through my notes. I don't recall getting anything. But I mean, I think it's an important thing because those of us who do live in multifamily condos or whatever, a lot of us don't have easy access. So I think that's great. What I I know this probably isn't your department, but is it going to be, is it, when you say it's EV only while charging and that no other changes to existing parking regulations, is it going to be the same parking charge as well as the EV charge? Or is it
There's no
just if
parking
you're
charge.
parking there, you only pay the EV charge?
So in here, there's no parking charge
Okay,
for
that's
the on-street spaces. So you would just be paying for the electricity while you're there.
good. That's good. Because in the parking lots, that's not the case. Now you have to pay for both.
That's correct. Yeah.
Right. Okay. No, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. And so just and then just a procedural question. So you said this is a grant, and did we apply for the grant as part of like a bigger project envelope, or did I'm just curious. I'm just curious about the process because I didn't know about the grant.
Sure. Yeah. So the town applied for the grant as part of our EV infrastructure build out that we're doing. And so this is a newer grant program through Mass CEC that specifically allows on-street charging. A lot of the other grant programs that we've applied for in the past through the state aren't necessarily for along the public right of way like this is. But this is, we've applied for, I'm sure Sam has the number up off the top of his head, but several $1 million worth of grant money to support our EV network.
Thanks.
Alexandra, I have a question because
I have my,
someone else have their hand up. I'm sorry.
yeah, I have my hand up, Clara.
Oh, okay. It's a little square and I didn't see it. So go ahead, Carol.
Maybe it's a small hand. Yes, I have a question about this. Is in an area that is 2-hour parking, and how is it going to be where someone like me who does not have an electronic vehicle and I just wind up and park myself there? How are you going to monitor that so that the space is only available for people wanting to charge?
Sure. So the police department is the one that's responsible for the parking enforcement along throughout town. I don't know if Sam has anything else. Sam's our Deputy Director of Engineering and has worked a lot on EV charging projects. So I don't know if he has anything else to add to that, but police department is responsible for enforcing the parking regulations.
Alexandra,
Not too forcefully, I would say.
well, hey, Carol, thanks for the question. I'd say that Alexandra's obviously right. And like Lauren, I am also a Coolidge Corner resident with a plug-in hybrid. So I've certainly reported many cars in, the Center Street East lot that do park there and ask them to come over and enforce. And hopefully that one lesson, changes someone's behavior. So, but I can share that, Brookline recently overtook, I don't know what community, but we are now we have the second highest percentage of EVs in the state of Massachusetts by town, only after Belmont. So we're in the ballpark of 4% of all vehicles are EVs. So hopefully those spots will be occupied by EVs.
Now, I have a further question then that, say in the Center Street parking lot, I can't remember if there are any EV stations there or not, but I don't think there's anything on there that says I cannot park there. I know it's on the Fuller Street lot. There were about 5 EV stations, and I don't recall any signs saying for EV cars only.
So for the Center Street East lot, there are signs above the stations that say EV parking while charging only. And that would be the same sign that they might be hidden. They're 7 feet up off the ground, which is just the height that we have to put signs at. They're definitely not seen by everybody. But the Fuller Street lot, those signs might be a little more inconspicuous just because there's a lot of ivy growing around where they're placed. So I can understand with the Fuller Street lot that those might be covered. But hopefully you see the ones in the Center Street East lot next time.
Anyway,
I think that's a real shortcoming that there isn't some kind of real thing that says, get your car out of here unless you're an electronic vehicle.
We tried that exact language, and unfortunately, we had to revert back to the EV parking while charging only. But I understand, and I think that maybe in the future we'll hopefully be able to paint some of the spaces with like, some sort of green paint that helps remind people that those spots are for EVs.
Now, is this something that people should report in Brookline Online? Take
I
a
would say
photograph of the car that's in the parking space that is not an electronic vehicle and send it to Brookline Online?
I appreciate that. I would say, as someone who receives Brook Online emails, I'd say the best option is to just call the non-emergency number, and the dispatcher is usually able to have a local enforcement operative come over pretty quickly, because there's almost always someone in the Coolidge Corner area. So I would just call in the 2222 number, the non-emergency.
Well, I think you're dreaming, but fine. I hope it works. I mean, I know I have this theory. I park my car where it says no parking, and I figure, well, maybe once a year I'll get a ticket. I have never gotten a ticket, and I park all over town in areas that say no parking.
You're a lucky lady, Carol. So
Now
I
you're
have-
gonna get a ticket. I
Not
know who you are.
anymore.
Yep.
I had a question, but now Carol made me forget it. Sorry.
Sorry, but
So my
I mean, I
que-
think it's important that the electronic stations be available. But I think it's also important that the rest of the community knows that their car is not supposed to be there and that there are consequences.
Thanks, Carol. So I have a question about the new ones you're talking about this evening. Are you gonna paint on the, because I think you can park there. There are no meters. I don't even think the spaces are marked. So will you paint? Yeah, you can see
Yeah,
there.
they're
there are no-
marked.
So will you paint 2 spaces there so people know, they don't park in front of it and take up 2 charging places by mistake? So will you paint there?
We will.
Yes.
We-
that's-
Yes.
And I know for some of the grants that the town applied for and got for EV chargers, they had some restrictions on the time. You couldn't, maybe that was just the ones in the parks. You couldn't use them overnight, or maybe you needed to have them available 24/7. Does that rule affect us for these?
No, that does not. This is a different grant program.
And what was the other one? I know when we put it in the Reservoir Park,
It was dawn to dusk was the sign that Brookline typically has in parks, and the program required at least 12 hours of access per day. So as is right now, we don't get 12 hours of sunlight, so it just meant that we had to just remove that sign.
Okay. And do people park there? They're not supposed to park there overnight, right?
They're not, and most people are pretty good about following it. I've found myself occasionally checking the charge, the online thing at the wee hours of the morning, and there aren't cars plugged in. So I think people are for the most part. There are town hall, not to get ahead of the next agenda item, but we are going to talk about the overnight parking program, and so we specifically opened up the town hall parking lot as a first case, test case for overnight parking for EV charging. So, that's been successful so far. So there are stations that get used overnight, but that's because people have the permits that we will be talking about in a few minutes.
Okay. And then the Reservoir Park, though, is that a lot that you permit parking in regardless of the EV stations overnight?
Not the Fisher Hill Reservoir Park,
Okay.
no.
Okay. Thank you. Jane has her hand up.
Thank you. Alexandra, I appreciate that you sent out that there was a lot of neighborhood support for this, for the EV stations where you're proposing they be. I guess my question, and it was nice to hear that actually, that helps me to think about my vote on this, but my question to you is the public process. I'm a little confused what the public process was. I also didn't know about it, but I figured it was because I live in an area, maybe this wasn't part of a public process, but what was the public process?
Sure. So we had a public survey that was available online for people to basically kind of upvote areas that they were interested in seeing on-street EV charging. And so we circulated that through various online e-newsletters, things like that. It was also part of the Climate Action and Resiliency Plan survey as well. It did so, which was distributed to the Park and Recreation Commission. And at the end of that survey, it said, are you interested in, something to the effect of, are you interested in weighing on future EV charging station locations? And so perhaps you said, I'm not an EV user, so no, I don't want to weigh in on those. And then we also had it available and shared through some of the Transportation Board, Pedestrian Advisory Committee, Zero Emissions Advisory Board, all kind of the transportation and climate advisory groups as well. So it was distributed that way as well. Sam, was there anything that I missed in that?
No, those were the big ones. I mean, we definitely tried to speak directly with as many like EV owners. I know I just float around sometimes, so I definitely tried my best to talk to people about it. But as Alexandra said, our largest pool of people was through the Climate Action Resiliency Plan survey.
And I will say that the public process, just to clarify, involved input from community members as well, but also involved our consultant through the grant itself, actually looked at where do we have existing charging infrastructure and where do we have capacity for that in terms of both physical capacity, electrical capacity, and then also looked at approximate locations to environmental justice neighborhoods as well. So all of those criteria were kind of laid upon on top of one another when we looked at the matrix of locations.
Okay, thank you for that. Then I kind of have a follow-up question to that. So my understanding of these EV stations is these are actually going to be in areas where there's not currently parking. So you're not displacing people who need handicap or senior citizens or people that like these are places where there currently is no parking. You're proposing to put these EV stations and there's broad neighborhood support for that. Do I have that?
There is
Right.
parking permissible in these locations. It's currently just on-street parking that's allowed. So we are putting it in locations where parking occurs, but none of these are removing any spaces, handicap spaces, and none of them are changing locations that were previously restricted in some way for parking.
And it's not metered, so people use this along this road when they have activities at the park.
Okay, thank you.
One
Thank you for
reason.
clarifying. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Oops, thanks. So Alexandra, I mean, technically it's not in a park, it's in the street. It's adjacent to the park, and the one of the electrical boxes is going in the park, correct?
That's correct.
So that's really why you need our approval? Or
well, up to you. Technically, it doesn't need a vote by the commission. However, if you would like to offer your support via vote, that I wouldn't say no to that. But I wanted to make sure, nevertheless, that the commission was aware of it and that it wasn't a surprise when you saw some modest construction activity happening there in the spring for that electrical box.
Right.
So
but no vote is needed.
Okay. I mean, do any of the commissioners feel strongly about voting who want to propose voting, or
I think the thing for us to vote on, this is just my opinion, and I certainly would love to have the discussion, but the vote for the electric, can you hear me okay?
Will you start over? I didn't hear the
Oh,
beginning.
sure. I think the thing to vote on is if there is an electrical box for this going in the park. I do think that might be worth us voting to say we support that, and at least we're aware of it. But that's, that's just my thinking, but maybe, it's not really doing anything different to the parks themselves.
And it's about what, a foot to 18 inches deep into the park, and it'll have some kind of footing? Just so we
the base of it is 24 by 16 inches and it's 48 inches high.
And does this trigger a whole park renovation? No, I'm being a little facetious here, but I mean, is there any implication to the park at all that we should be aware of?
No, no.
Okay.
The only change would be, when they're installing, they'll need to do some reseeding around the area where the box is installed, but no impact to green or gray infrastructure otherwise.
Mhm.
And can they do the work from the sidewalk side? They won't have to go into the park?
The box will be in the park, so they will
No,
need to.
Well, more than, I guess what I'm saying, will they need to go more than 4 feet into the park? Can they work from the sidewalk versus driving their equipment over the grounds?
Yeah, correct. There shouldn't be any heavy equipment that's coming across the grounds of the park for the
None.
installation.
Okay. We often hear a proposal and then vote the following month, but I'm do people have any problem about voting that we're in favor of having what is it? It's not a transformer. What goes in the park? What's that piece of equipment called?
Distribution cabinet.
The distribution cabinet. Anybody have issues with voting at this meeting on that issue?
I don't know if I wouldn't want to wait a meeting like we typically do. I just think it's good to, just in case, because I appreciate there's been a public process, but it might be the first time some people are hearing about it. And it would
So
just,
you'd like to postpone, you'd like
I
to wait?
would like to postpone, but again, that's and I would like to eventually take a vote in support, but I just want to, that's my opinion. So I don't know if others feel differently.
Does it hurt your process, Alexandra, if we postpone the vote for a month?
No, that shouldn't be an issue. Our plan is to we need a vote from the transportation board, and so we'll be going to them in 2026. So that's fine as long as that happens in January.
Okay.
And you don't officially even need a vote from us, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I certainly support these EV stations but I like our rule that we wait a month, because if someone hears about it or wants to speak again, I think it's a good rule to try to adhere to as much as possible. So we'll put it on the agenda for January. And Alexandra, you don't even have to come to the meeting. Nor Sam, we will just we will tell everybody to remember what we talked about and then take a vote.
That sounds great, Clara.
Commissioners, speak now or forever hold your peace on this issue until next month. Unless you feel differently, let me know. Okay. Excuse me. Now we're going to overnight parking requests for EV chargers at Warren Field at the Elliott lot. Now they say discussion and vote, and this is the first time we've heard it, and I assume either Alexandra or Sam will tell us why they need a vote tonight.
Yep. So I shared a memo about this one. So I'm just going to pull that up as a reference point for folks. So essentially, as noted, we have EV charging stations throughout our various. Sorry, I'm not moving enough to keep my emotion line on. We have EV charging stations at various public parking lots, and some of those also include our parks and playgrounds. And so in 2024, so yep, that was last year still, we installed a dual port level 2 charging station. So same thing, one station that two cars can charge at Elliott Playground and Warren Field. And so that station is available to the public for, nearby residents or visitors during the daytime hours, because that's when it's permissible to park there. But as Sam noted, the town did recently pilot an overnight parking permit program for the town hall parking lot. And that is for both EV and non-EV users there. And so people are able to pay for a permit, $100 per month through the transportation division. And they're allowed to park there until I believe it's 7:30 a.m. at town hall, Sam, is that correct? Yes. Until 7:30 a.m. So since that program has gone into effect, the transportation division and now sustainability have heard from other residents in this neighborhood who live very close but don't have access to private EV charging and wanted to know about the option of parking and charging their EVs overnight at Elliott. So Sam and I spoke to Tim because obviously his staff are there every day at Elliott Rec Center. And his opinion was that we could certainly pilot it for a year just for EV users. So that's only 2 spots. And that is, we would ask that they be out no later than 8 a.m. at this location, given the programs and the fact that this is a pretty limited parking spot. So we are requesting, and this is a rule that would obviously change the parking regulations at a parking lot. And so this would require a vote from the commission. This would be a 1-year pilot. So our suggestion was that because the permits are issued on a quarterly basis, it would be easiest to start this on January 1st. And then we would come back at the end of 2026 and offer an update to the commission on how it's going and if any changes need to be made or if we would like to extend it to be more permanent. And by voting now, that gives us the chance to advertise the program, reach out to the folks that have expressed interest in parking there, and allows them time to obtain those permits. So it's a little bit cleaner for our processes, but happy to answer any questions that folks have.
So I just want a few things clarified so I understand it. So this is parking 8 to 8 or 6 p.m. to 8 a.m. Can you tell me the overnight hours at this lot?
So the hours for the lot right now is it's basically available to park there dawn to dusk. So this would allow for these permit holders, which would only be for EV drivers, they would be able to park there from sunset until 8 a.m.
Because that's when the park closes. The parks are dawn to dusk, and that's why you can. Okay.
That's correct.
And then you would apply to park at an EV space, even though the charging may only take you 45 minutes, but you could leave your car there all night. Is that correct?
Well, the charging would likely take longer than 45 minutes if you were there. But yes, that's correct. So basically you would charge there until full and your car would remain there. I mean, if you wanted to come pick it up in the middle of the night, you could, but it could remain there. And Sam, correct me if I'm wrong, but during that time period for town hall, we've simply put a pause on. Normally there's an overstay charge fee. So if you're sitting here, you fully charged and you're just holding the parking spot, but you're no longer charging your vehicle, then there's an overstay fee associated with that typically. But for overnight parking, because if your car becomes fully charged at 4 a.m., the expectation isn't that you get up and go move your car at that time. So we remove the overstay fee just during those hours.
And
So
this
we're
is
talking about 2 spaces, correct? 2 spaces, 2 more spaces, and you have to own an EV car to get those spaces.
That's correct.
Teresa has questions, and then I see your hand now, Carol. So first, Teresa.
Yeah, I'm just curious on the logistics. Does an individual apply for that certain spot and then there's a lottery process for people, or is it first come, first serve? Like, how would somebody get this particular spot at Elliott?
Yeah, so typically, Sam can speak to this better than I, but we issue a certain number of permits based off the spots available. So in this case, since there are only 2 spots available, we would probably only issue 5 permits, and it would be first come, first serve. So if one of the other 5, and we clarify that when you get the permit, we can't guarantee, this does not guarantee you parking, but it allows you to park there if the space is available. So it would basically be first come, first serve to park and charge. Sam, is that a correct representation of the process?
100% accurate representation.
Wow, so someone pays $100 a month and is not guaranteed a spot?
Well, we can't, the people who have reached out to us, this is like understandably, these stations are not the fastest. And so people who are commuting, or at least what we've heard from the people who have reached out is that, this would offer them the ability to use their car more frequently for the commute that they have. So they are looking to charge for a number of hours at a time, and they understand that the station is not guaranteed. So I do believe that the people who have reached out would be willing to pay $100 a month for the opportunity to know that they most likely are going to get overnight charging. Especially, if we might only issue 3 permits, but if we say we're going to go up to 5, each person knows they have a 40% chance of getting a spot or something, so.
Okay.
I mean, just to clarify, Clara, these folks do already have a car that they're parking somewhere. It's just somewhere that they're not charging. So what we're offering them is the option to charge because they don't have that infrastructure elsewhere. So it's not like if they can't get their spot here, then their car has to disappear for the night. It goes somewhere right now. It would be theoretically going back there and just not charging.
So lots, I'm just curious, lots where you rent overnight spaces, if they're not EV, if you rent spaces and other lots, do they get guaranteed a space? I mean, if you have 20 spaces in a lot and you're renting those for overnight people who don't have, let's say someone wants to rent it because they have an extra car and they can't park on the street overnight. Are they guaranteed a space?
For every other parking lot that is just a standard overnight parking lot, they are guaranteed a parking space. And so
that's great. That's all I wanted to know. Thank you very much. And Teresa, do you have another question?
Well, I guess I'm just curious then, if let's say you give out 3 permits and the third person wants to park because they don't have a garage, can they go to a different lot, or are they just kind of out of luck for that period of time?
No, so the permit would just be for this lot. So they're permitted to use these spots at either EV spot at this lot. But again, if there were 2 EV cars there charging and they came, then they would just return to wherever they normally park their car. So these folks either have a off-street parking spot already at their home, or they are paying to park somewhere else, wherever that might be, a private or public lot, and they would go there. It just would be that they wouldn't be able to charge.
So these EV spots are really for people to charge, not to have a dependable overnight space.
Exactly.
Correct.
Okay. I'm going to let Teresa finish, then we have Carol, and then we have Jane. Go ahead.
I think that's all the questions I had. It seems like I'm sure I'm not an EV owner, so I don't know what your clientele is, but it seems like an odd thing that you would pay for $100 a month, and then you are potentially like rushing to get there as soon as the sun goes down so that you get the spot for the night.
But that's what they're currently doing, right? And this just gives them the opportunity to have a greater likelihood actually of being able to charge overnight. So it actually might be a little bit of a reprieve for these people.
Thanks, Sam. Carol?
Yeah, I have a number of questions. One is, okay, you're going to issue 3 parking permits. Is it different every month? Or is this the first 3 people who find out about this can kind of take over and have this for life?
Well, it's renewed quarterly. Yeah, 3 months.
Yeah, so it's a 3-month
permit. I would also suggest that I think it would be better serving the public by having a lottery, and not the first 3 people who happen to know somebody in town hall who knows this is going to happen, and they get their applications in before anybody else. Because I think that's something that could happen. And I think that would not be good for this program. I also think so if somebody has this permit for 4 months, they pay $400, and suppose they only need to use it 2 or 3 nights a month, and then these spaces are available and nobody else is getting to use them. I think I can't imagine somebody is there every single night to use the space.
Right, but just to clarify, Carol, right now the spaces are not being utilized at all overnight. No one's allowed to park there.
I understand that, yeah.
So, so you're right. You are paying the permit $100 a month for the possibility of charging there as frequently as you are able and need to do so. In some cases, people depends on where you're traveling to, but don't need to charge every day. So that is up to you, but you also can choose not to pay the $100 and not to have the option to charge here, and that is your right, and you can find somewhere else to charge.
I don't think that really answers some of my concerns about this, is that it's 3 people for 4 months and everybody else is excluded. And it's the 3 first people who happen to hear about this, instead of having a lottery that says, this is going to be something, let's all put in our things and do it that way. I mean, I just find it, I don't feel
So I would
comfortable.
say-
I don't feel comfortable with the way you're administering it.
So this is how the transportation permits are administered townwide. So this is a new location that we're adding in, and it has limited spots because there are only 2 EV spots for sure. So it is different. Whereas with a public parking lot, there are 20, 30, however many spots there are there. So it's a different volume. But the permitting system is not being determined in this process or by the Park and Rec Commission. That is handled via the Transportation Board and the Transportation Division. So just want to clarify that that process isn't being set here. The other opportunity is, I will say, it's a pilot program. And so if after a year we're finding that we have, a dozen people interested in the program, then we would say this is extremely popular and we need to figure out a different way to administer it. Thus far, we know that we've had a handful of residents reach out with interest of using the charging stations. And until we actually try to launch the program, we won't know who's really willing to put the money in to get that permit.
Can I, just on following on Carol's question though, are you going to call for interest? I mean, are you going to give them to the first 3 or 4 people who apply? Or are you going to collect names and do it? What if you get 10 interests, and then will you do it do you know how you're going to give these out?
Sam, you might be able to speak to that
Sure.
a little better than I,
Yeah.
based off of other permits.
So the Transportation Division has always been on a first come, first serve basis for permits. I don't think soliciting is like the right way to, I mean, I know that we've mentioned that there have been like 2 people who have directly reached out to us. I don't see that as soliciting to like let them know that their request, this is a request that's driven by the residents. So like we're trying to meet the needs of the people who live in the neighborhood. And it does so happen to align with the goals of the sustainability division in the town. So I don't think that reaching out to those 2 people who reached out to us is like unfair. But we do think that issuing 5 total permits would be good. And then as soon as it gets approved, we will put it on the town website and let everyone know on a first come, first serve basis, just like we do with the 12 other overnight parking locations, that this is now available starting January 1st. And if, it does happen that we get 10 applications, then we can come right back to the Park and Rec Commission and say, hey, this is what happened, and we can try to sort it out. But just based off of what I've heard, and EV ownership in general around the town, working on this for the last couple of years, I don't anticipate that we're going to get 10 applications when it's EV only. If this was a broader parking program, yes, but EV only, no.
Thanks. It's just nice to know how it's done. Thank you. So now we have questions from Lauren Bernard and then Jane. So go ahead, Lauren.
Just a question. So for example, now if I go to the Center Street parking lot or the Babcock Street lot with my car and I plug it in and I get busy with something and I leave it for too long, it just keeps charging me. Is that going to be the case? If this is going to be overnight parking, how they have $100 permit, so they're not going to be charged
No, so
for their actual charging, right?
the overstay fee will be turned off.
Okay.
That's what we got approval through the Transportation Board to
Okay.
do for the town hall lot, and we will do the same thing. And that overstay restriction will be unique to the parking lot. It will follow the exact hours, so no one will be charged $10 an hour, like Alexandra said, to wake up at 4 a.m. when your car is done charging.
Yeah, I had to do that a
unplug.
few times.
But they will be charged for the amount of times they are charging. They
Yes, all electricity, they will be paying at the same rate that has been approved through the Park and Rec Commission, the
So what
35
does the
cents per hour.
$100 give them?
priority.
100,
The
it gives
permit.
them the ability to charge overnight, which other
Overnight.
people are not permitted to do.
So if
and-
you, Lauren, decided you wanted to drive to Elliott Rec, you wouldn't, but to
Right.
and charge your car there and you didn't have a permit and you were charging overnight, you would be, and that was known by the police, then you would be ticketed for parking somewhere that you do not have a permit to park.
I see. Okay. And just speaking to your the concern about, you know, just 3 of these and the first come first serve thing, I might agree that this particular though, I mean, this is a pilot, right? But I don't think this is a representative pilot in the sense that, you know, you're putting it in that neighborhood by the Elliott Recreation Center, right? There's no, it's not a dense urban area. Most people have garages and single family homes in that neighborhood and ostensibly can get a charging station. So I agree, you're not going to have like this super overwhelming demand. You know, you have a little bit of multifamily housing there, but not a whole lot. But that's why I wonder, like, is this really the place to pilot a program? Because
Well,
if the idea is to be able to do overnight EV charging in Coolidge Corner or in Washington Square or somewhere like that, you're going to have a lot more demand, a lot more. And I think you will be hard pressed to be able to defend the policy of first come, first serve.
Well, in the
So-
Center Street, like in the Center Street East lot, the Fuller lot, the Babcock lot, all the like the dense urban parking lots, you
Mhm.
can currently get an overnight parking permit, like through the pay
I
station
was
for
told I couldn't.
$10 for
I was
10.
told I couldn't. To
Okay,
charge my car?
you can just any person, EV or not EV, you can pay $10 flat rate at the pay station for an
Oh, I
overnight
see.
parking.
Exceptionally,
so-
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so I'm saying that like this program in essence already exists in a way that you can charge your car overnight for an
Mhm.
extended period of time. And all that we're doing is trying to understand what the demand is. I know that this isn't representative because it's in the South, you know, it's in a different neighborhood. But this is where the station is. You know, we really are trying to expand into different locations and match the needs of what we're hearing from people. So, you know, maybe
And
this is a program that we want to bring to other places, but we're just hearing from people that they want to be able to charge their car overnight, and we're trying to support that.
The request specifically came from people who live in this neighborhood, have seen this charging station, and are asking if they could be able to use it overnight. So that's why we're also part of the reason we're looking at Elliott is because people in that neighborhood have identified the need there. So that's
Interesting.
originally why we approached the recreation department with the question.
It's
And the same
interesting.
with same with town hall. People came to us and they're like, you know, you have eight charging ports there, not 2. And so we, you know, there are times when all 8 of those are full, or 6 or
Right.
8, and we get people charging overnight. So it's just, you know, one by one.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Jane, go ahead.
Thank you. I think my question is sort of aligned, what I think I'm kind of hearing from others as well, is how has the neighbor, like I get that people who have EV cars would probably ask about the EV stations that are sitting there unused. And I remember when this came up initially with some of the original proposals, I had asked about, you know, what about overnight? And it was like, that will not happen. Parks are dawn to dusk. Now that is happening, which I'm not saying I'm disagreeing with the pilot, especially if people are asking for that. But I guess my question is beyond the people that have EV cars, like how are the neighborhoods being notified about this?
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
not-
the conversations the conversations we had with the Park and Rec Commission around dawn to dusk were for the 4 different projects. It wasn't about this project. It was about Fisher Hill, Skyline, Sewell Playground, and Lars Anderson. But in terms of us notifying the neighborhood, I mean, there's no expectation. Like I understand that people might be upset, but you know, this is our decision to try and, you know, provide a public need. Like, you know, there may be fewer multifamily homes, but, you know, for anyone who's gotten a quote for installing like an EV charger in your home, you know that you're going to shell out like $4,000 to $8,000. And so it's not something that everyone can afford to do. And so
Yeah.
we're just trying to get it utilized overnight, you know,
No,
so
I don't think I'm arguing with that point or even saying anything about negatively about that point. I think I'm asking like, you know, how does a Brookline Neighborhood Association group know about this? Or a Parks Friends group know about this, which is different than the answer I just got. So I'm
Sorry.
just trying to figure out how is it not just a select group of people who happen to know about it rather than the neighborhood that it potentially is impacting. I mean, I don't know that there's actually people opposed to this at all. As a matter of fact, what I hear is favorability, but I'm hearing that from the EV people who are approaching you, not necessarily the neighborhood. And I'm curious because these are our parks, our open spaces, and you know, just how is the neighborhood and how are the different friends groups hearing about that? That's my question. And I do
Sure.
think that part of the process needs to be a little bit more public as we go along, because I do see, and I did see initially, like with Sewell, one of the points I had is I could definitely see that being an overnight spot, quite frankly. And I'm not even sure that the neighborhood would be opposed to that. And we're going to have more housing and more need for that. So I think that the issue is how do we notify the people that are in the neighborhood about this happening, and it not just be, oh, these, you know, I think Carol said it well, like the 3 or 4 people that happen to know it was coming know about it. So I really do think as we move forward with it, we need to be more transparent in that part of the public process.
I agree, and
Our
I
first
apologize that I
stop,
missed your point, but I think
Sam,
that
can I just jump in here real quick? Because I think
Sure.
the part of the clarification is that this is the first stop with the Park and Rec Commission. This will also be going to the Transportation Board. And then as the votes are made by both of those boards, then it would be clarified or it would be notified to the town meeting members and the neighborhood association in that area to let people know that the option to EV charge there is now available to them. So it would be notified to the people in that area after you're the first stop before we go to Transportation Board.
Right, but I guess so that's a backwards process in my mind. They should be able to be on this call to tell us what they think. And what I'm hearing is we're being asked to take a vote tonight and there is no public process. So I just feel like that's backwards. And again, I'm not opposed to this. It was a question I had when it came up before is why would we let them sit empty all night and not be used? So I've actually had this question from the first time it came up and had a lot of issues with it before because I do feel like we're not really getting the word out there to everybody in the way that we should.
I agree we can be better. And in the past, we've done postings directly on the stations that we certainly could put something together to help spread the word
So
at the park about the, you know, relationship between those specific EV stations and the use of the park. So
can I ask a different question because I think Clara asked this earlier. Is there a reason why you need the vote tonight from us? And why can't we wait like we often do? We get it presented and then we wait and vote next month. So I just want to ask that question.
They stated it, Jane. They want to start the program January 1.
Oh, okay. And is that because of the grant or like is the grant
But
dictating
this is
that?
not a
This
grant.
isn't related to the grant, so this is a separate EV project. So it would just be that the permits are issued on a 3-month basis. And so we
Okay.
would, the next kind of 3-month cycle would be that starting on January 1st. However, if the commission isn't comfortable voting this evening, we're happy to certainly take the vote in January. And if there's specific outreach that the commission would like to see before the vote is taken, I'm happy to take that feedback here this evening. I will just ask Sam, before the vote was taken at the Transportation Board for the town hall overnight parking for both EV and non-EVs, did the Transportation Board or division send out letters to the abutters or any other specific neighborhood outreach?
there's no outreach, and it was a consent agenda item, not even I mean, I guess they vote on the consent agenda, but there's no discussion and action on that item.
Okay, just wanted to clarify if the T-Board had done a different process for town hall.
What happened?
You know, Alexandra, if I can just sort of say to you what I think people are, what I understand people's concern is that some people don't hesitate to call the town, say, I have a problem, you've got to help me out, blah, blah, blah. Whereas other people don't. You know, they're more hesitant. They're just, you know, they just,
Mm-hmm.
they're not as bold or they don't they're just not as self-advocating. And so you get the people who are good at self-advocating or asking for things given priority over people who may not. And that's what I hear from my fellow commissioners. They're concerned that it's, oh, we heard it from 2 people. So I think that's where people are coming from.
I appreciate you saying that, Clara, because that is where I'm coming from, and that is just my concern. And in the outreach, I mean, I think it would be the Green Space Alliance and the neighborhood associations would, in my opinion, would be great ways to go. And not everybody's in one, but it's as far as I know, that's the best you could reach out.
Or you could just post them on the EV chargers for people who
Yeah,
charge during the day or
Charge
something
during the day.
like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So Carol has her hand raised again, I think.
Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
Alexandra just said something that clicked in my brain. She said, for people in the area. So in other words, if I live on Beacon Street, I have no garage, I have to pay rent every month to park somewhere, and I have an EV car. And my EV, the place where I park and I pay, $250, $300 a month, has no stations. Can I not go and apply for one of these things to use the lot? I mean, to use this place? Where are we going? We're going, I forget where this is going to be, Warren Field.
Elliott Rec in Warrenfield. No, and it's open to anyone. Any Brookline resident can apply
Oh,
for the
okay,
permit.
because you had
and
said it was
utilize
the
space.
neighborhood a
It's just
few
that
minutes
most
ago.
people would have to walk home after they drop the car to charge. So most people would probably want to do it if they live within walking distance. So I was just simply referring that the most likely candidates are those in the neighborhood because they would probably have to walk back to their resident while it was charging.
Okay, but I think Clara stated what most of us feel about this, is that it's not open to the public.
Okay, understood. So we will do some outreach and return to you all in January with more information. Thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Alexandra. Thank you,
Alexandra.
Sam.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Okay. So so we have 2 things coming back for votes on EV charging stations. We're a tough group, guys, in January. So the next item, moving right ahead, we're a little bit behind, as discussion on RFP, request for proposals, process for the outdoor pool feasibility study. And I think Mealy is going to take, no,
I'll
I don't
take
know,
it.
Tim or Mealy, sorry, Tim?
Yeah, I'm happy to take it. Hey, everybody. Good evening. So as we've been talking about for a long time now, we are approaching the RFP process for the outdoor community pool feasibility study. The RFP is just about finished to send to you all to take a look at it, as well as, make corrections for finalization to get it out there. Upon conversations with Clara and Teresa during our meetings and just conversations internally with town, we've been trying to figure out the best way to go about this public process, to be as transparent and above board as possible, given the eyeballs on this and the community interest and what we'd like to propose. And this is both for information here tonight, but also to gauge some interest from the commission. As we like to form a committee for this RFP process internally stemming from the commission, to help form as well as review RFP submittals when this does go live. So what our plan is to do is that this RFP committee would, consist of myself, our aquatics director, Amanda Wong. We're thinking 2 commission members, a representative from planning, and then I have reached out proactively to the pool advocacy group that we've been working with over the last many months, and they have elected one of their members, Lisa Jonas, to serve on this as well. So I wanted to just bring that forward, that's kind of where we're going, but also open it up to the commission to see if there's any interest from anybody. I know Teresa and Clara had interest, but we wanted to open it up to the full committee to see if anybody wanted to serve on that group to review these.
Lauren is raising her hand, Tim. Do you
Yeah,
want?
it takes
Yeah.
too much time to find a little icon thing. I would be happy to throw my hat in the ring. I'm a swimmer. I have managed pools. I was a lifeguard. I mean, I've been doing aquatic stuff my whole life, so I would be happy to be on that.
Great.
Thank you. Anyone else? Tim, so are you gonna just send out letters moving forward and form the group, or?
Yeah, I mean, again, if one other individual wanted to jump on this, I'll connect us all via email and then keep you all posted on the process as we go through it. As mentioned, the RFP itself in draft form is just about complete, so I'd like to get everyone's feedback on that before we obviously put it out publicly. So I guess I need one more person.
So there'll be 4 commissioners reviewing it, or just 2?
Just 2.
2, okay.
Yeah. So it'd be Lauren and one other.
I have a question. I'm not volunteering to be on the committee. I have a question. Now, this RFP is to look at all sites in Brookline, not just one site, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Oh,
Any other people interested in the pool being on the committee? So right now,
I think Teresa was about to say something. So.
yeah.
oh, I'm
Teresa?
volunteering myself, but I thought I was already volunteering.
I
Yes.
thought you started this by saying Clara and Teresa were already on
Okay.
it, looking for one more. Did I miss something?
Yeah,
I know that. Okay. Go ahead, Claire. I know that we talked about it. I wasn't sure if we wanted to stick with that or open it up to the group, so I apologize if I misspoke.
Well, am I volunteering people that didn't volunteer? I don't want to do that either.
No, I think what Teresa and I said we would do it
Okay.
if there wasn't other people interested. And so I know, so if Teresa's happy to do it and Lauren's happy to do it, I'll look at it, but I won't be on the committee. How's that?
That works for me.
That sounds good. Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Teresa.
Perfect. Thank you both.
Okay. Okay. We're good with that one now. We've made up for lost time. This I think is still Tim. This
Yep.
is the Recreation Department program fee adjustment.
Right.
And we were all sent information
Right.
in advance, which I know you all looked at and studied carefully.
All right. 1 second. All right. Settle in. You're stuck with me for the next hour or so. All right. So as mentioned, and as is practice, and this is also informative for our new commission members, every year per the bylaw of the Park and Recreation Commission, we set fees for our core programs, our larger programs, programs that don't turn over, week to week, month to month, or vendor programs. So we're really talking kind of meta, the big things that we're known for: athletics, or swimming, golf, summer camps, things of that nature. So I'm coming to you tonight with our next set of that, and this is to set it for calendar year 26. And so what I wanted to do is approach it a little differently. I'm going to share my screen right now. Can everybody see that? Thumbs up.
There's
There's
nothing there
nothing.
yet. Oh, there we go.
Cool. So what I want to do is just give a little background. Again, you all hopefully saw my memo, and I know it was a lot of information. Hopefully it was helpful to explain kind of where we're at, but I wanted to run through that publicly again one more time, and then address and go over a little more detail the changes that we're making. So again, as I just mentioned, process-wise, internally over the last 2 months, arguably more, myself, our assistant director, Aaron, our section leads, as well as our programmers, have been meeting over the many months to recap our programs, look at pricing, look at where we're hoping to go in the next 6 to 12 months, and what we need to get there. And when we look at our programming and we look at our pricing, it really comes down to 3 things for us. And that's one is covering our costs. As we know, the rec department, especially specifically programming, is 100% self-sufficient. So any program fee that comes in, we need to ensure that it is enough to cover our costs that we're incurring internally. We want to make sure we're staying competitive, obviously, so that people keep registering for our programs or taking advantage of the great services that we are putting forward. So we stay competitive. We compare ourselves actively to those around us, other towns, other private entities. And then, of course, ensuring that there's still equitable access. So still ensuring that the programs that we're doing are affordable. And when we talk about scholarships, that they're being applied specifically to these programs and being able to support these programs. the biggest thing that we're looking at of why we're doing this go round is the challenges that we're seeing within the recreation revolving account. So yes, it covers the fees and it covers the expenses when it comes to part-time staff and supplies and vendors and things of that nature. But the other piece of the rec revolving account is that it's the biggest supporter of our full-time staff. So we currently pay for almost 19 full-timers out of this revolving account. So yes, all the fees go to the program direct expenses, but we're also paying for the staff that make the recreation department run. The more pressing, and with that, we know everything that comes with it. Yes, salaries go up incrementally over time with the union, but obviously healthcare costs are skyrocketing, and we are absorbing that actively within the rec revolving account. And then a directive that has been kind of sent our way of what to expect going into the next budget cycle is that we're being asked to pull an additional full-timer into this account. So we'll be going from 18.75 full-timers to 19.75 full-timers. So we need to plan accordingly to incur that cost. And then, as I mentioned, the obvious one is that it's your duty to approve these of it. But the main thing is that our fees and our expenses are rising rapidly. As mentioned briefly in the beginning, what does this apply to? These pricing proposals always relate to large scale in-house programs. That's the biggest thing I want to stress. A big part of which we've talked in the past, a big part of our programming, or not a big part, but a chunk of our programming is vendors. It's third parties that come in on our behalf, run programs that we don't have capacity to run in-house, do it on our behalf with private vendors, private businesses. And because of that, those vendors set the price. We don't have control over the core pricing model when it comes to third-party outside vendors. So when it comes to price increases that I bring forward to the commission, I just want to point out that these are in-house run. These are programs that are run by our staff, either full-time or part-time, that we are hiring and we are managing. And then just to recap a little bit too, as well as we go into it, because it does have an effect, is that financial aid has a huge part in this. So for this past calendar year, this was the first year that we were operating the equity initiative. We were operating the scholarship program left over from the American Rescue Plan Act funding, where we would scholarship 100% of the fee for individuals who qualified in town and who applied rather. And this past, like I said, this past calendar year, that was implemented for the first time where the sole ownership of it was on the revolving account. So instead of having that outside support, we no longer have it. So every fee that we passed, we had to incur and absorb in-house. Based on our projections of the previous years, we anticipated that we were going to see about 250,000 worth of first aid requests. This calendar year, which I'm not saying this is a bad thing by any means, we were able to, continue the program, but the increase of those scholarships and the demand went up. And I think it's a direct reflection of just the times and the economy. So instead of $200,000 to $250,000 of scholarships, we're concluding the year right now. This number was as of last week with $353,617. So we are about $100,000 over what we anticipated. And because of this, as I mentioned, because of the financial aid piece of it, and we'll go into it more specifically momentarily, some of our programs ended up turning a deficit. So programs that typically ran in a profit or broke even, we were losing somewhat significant amount of money with it. So part of this process here tonight and this presentation for tonight, and then ultimately a vote next month, will be to hopefully correct that. So the proposals that are coming forth tonight are three. I think, yeah, three. So we have the pool, we have the aquatic center. We're going to talk about swim lessons. We have athletics. We have a kind of a showcase of some of the athletics that we do in-house. And of course, we have summer camp, which is our biggest program over the summer. So to start is the aquatic center. And when we were looking at the aquatic center, when it comes to the equity initiative and when it comes to scholarships, we maintain pretty heavily the importance of what we are offering there free to the community. It is in line with American Red Cross of what they believe is necessary for a new swimmer, either adult or youth, to learn to swim. So when we're looking at changing fees, we're really not touching those. We want to ensure the best we can, and there's a slight increase as you see, but we want to make sure that we are keeping those as affordable as possible. So what we're focusing on this go around is the private swim lessons. So currently, our full-time staff, as well as our part-time water safety instructors who we have on our lifeguarding staff, do offer private swim lessons to individuals who are interested. This is one of our most robust programs on a one-to-one basis. We have a wait list of over 100 families right now looking for time. So we recognize the impact of this, we recognize the importance, but we also want to make sure that we're not pricing ourselves out. In conversations with the aquatic staff, we are one of the, if not the most affordable rate out there, but also, as I mentioned, a demand through the roof. So proposing this increase. So currently we go $50 for a half hour. We're proposing to put that up to $65. If you register hypothetically a child for a private lesson, but you had another child that you want to get into that, it's a discounted fee. So the additional swimmer typically is right now is $15. We're looking to bump that up to $20. We are open to non-residents. Obviously, everything we do across the board, if there's a non-resident looking to do, there's a small premium on top of it, just to ensure that we have more equitable access for residents. We're not completely shutting out our non-residents, especially of a facility of this nature. So right now we do offer for $65. We're looking to bump that up to $90. And then for that additional, it's currently $25. We're looking at to go to $30. So those are the proposals for private swim lessons. And then we do have our group swim lessons, which are our most popular. So we're just looking for a small increase of that on a per class basis, just to break it down. Right now it costs $25 per class. For that, we're looking to go up to 26. And then for our non-residents, it's 35 per class, looking to go up to 36. Based on last year's projections, which are pretty solid because our swim lessons are probably one of our most popular programs, guaranteed to sell out. So we're looking at a projected yearly additional income of $41,000 when it comes to swim. And I was going to take questions at the end, but I think it may be better to go one by one. So does anybody have questions on the aquatics piece of it? Carol.
I have a question on the additional swimmer for the private lessons. Does that mean it's usually somebody in a family? It's not like if you're signed up for a lesson, somebody you don't know could also come into that lesson, and then how do you divide the cost?
Correct. It's family only. So it's based on
Okay, that
siblings
makes
or
sense. Yeah,
relatives.
yeah.
Yep.
I just want to say that your private swim lessons are sensational.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, my grandson did it this summer and it was great.
Well, I know Amanda's on this call right now, so I'm sure she appreciates hearing that. So hats off to that team. All right, great. So next I want to talk about athletics. Athletics, as Jake was here just about a year ago, I think Jake was here kind of, telling you all the great work that he does. When it comes to athletics, I'll reiterate that the amount of sports that our department as a public recreation entity offers and is able to house in-house is very rare. And because we have that ability to do it in-house, because we have the ability to run it, but also be able to attract such a huge volunteer base of dedicated parents and volunteer coaches and young part-time staff, we are able to keep our costs down to the most affordable in the area. In a time where privates and AAUs are really taking over leagues, Jake does a tremendous job in getting these sports off the ground. So right now we're looking at the 5 on the screen: soccer, flag football, basketball. And when we talk about basketball, we're talking about just recreational league. We're not talking about travel, lacrosse, and then pickleball. For soccer, modest increase. Well, soccer, flag football, and basketball, modest increase of $5 going year to year. So 125 to 130. That breaks down, I think, to $9 a week. And you get a 60-minute practice with a 60-minute game plus a t-shirt per week. for the majority of the season. So again, just super affordable. Lacrosse, $235. We're looking to go up to $245. This is going to be an incremental increase probably in the next 2 to 3 years as those expenses are rising. As we've planned, this is another increase from last year as well. So just doing that gradual increase model. And then pickleball, keeping the resident rate the same. And I just realized that the number didn't make it on the screen, so I apologize. But we're going from $7 of a non-resident to $10 for non-resident, keeping the resident rate the same, making sure that our residents still have access to that. So athletics total additional revenue of $17,000 on that. Is there any
Tim,
question? Yep.
Tim, I don't understand a couple of things. When you say
Mhm.
cost per session, so 125, and each person on a team pays $125, and
Correct.
I don't know, and that's like 10 games or
Entire season. Yep.
approximately how many games per?
They go for about 10 to 12 weeks.
Okay.
Yep.
And then so when we say 17,000, that's the additional money. That's
Correct.
okay.
Yep.
Then why is lacrosse so expensive?
That's just the nature of the sport. So lacrosse is one of the ones that it's a contractor that comes in for us. It's not necessarily completely vendor run, but we do bring in an outside contractor to work with the rec department. So we're kind of have a balancing act with that. So we're weighing the entry cost, bringing in this company to help us run it, plus the small fee that we need to take on top of it.
And because this is partial vendor, will you not give scholarships to lacrosse?
We do give scholarships because it's technically run as a Brookline Rec program. They run it in partnership with us.
Okay, and then my final question is, when people apply for a scholarship, do they have a form? Do they have to give how is that?
Yep, there's a full scholarship application that they go through online. Very non-intensive, very non-intrusive. But that's all online that they fill out. They send it in. Our business manager reviews it and then works with the family.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Other commissioners, any hands raised?
I didn't raise my hand, but I do have a question. Is it all right if I go ahead and jump in?
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
My question is a little different. I mean, I think I've really looked through these rates and I get your reason for increasing them and everything, but I'm just wondering, is there any sort of a family discount in one way? Like if you have, because it just feels like a lot of fees and everything in life is going up. And I'm just wondering, if you have 3 children playing soccer, is there sort of like a 125 for the first and I don't know, some sort of for the second and the third, like so that there's a family discount? Just asking that because it just seems so expensive.
Yeah, not at this time.
Okay.
We don't do a model like that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Is there any vision of maybe doing that once things even
Yeah,
out?
I think I'd love to explore it for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I'm just curious.
Do you do that with camps though? I thought you did it with camp.
I believe we might have in the past. We don't currently. I think when I was here back in the day, I think we did it. But currently, it's not. I think if there's a discount need, we point to financial aid. And like I said, it's a pretty non-intrusive, and we don't ask a lot of questions. If you're taking the time out of your day to let us know, there's a big trust process there. So if there is additional help, we always encourage financial aid, and we've always been generous with that.
Thanks, Tim.
But is just to clarify that financial aid, I'm assuming in some level is income based though. Something there must be some, or maybe there's not.
Yeah, there is forms for income, and we do make our judgments internally for that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I had a question. How do you for residency, do you have people prove their residency? How do you do that?
So they have to register through our system. And in order to do that, they have to set up their household with their address. So based on that, as soon as they put it in, it locks it in. So it's not like I can go back and say I'm a resident, or if I wasn't non-resident, I'm a resident. So it's partially on the trust system. But once you set up your account with your household, that gives you access to the residential rates and residential programs.
Thank you.
Great. And then the next two are summer camp, which are the big ones, obviously. So to start, we have our environmental education camp. This is our in-house specialty camp run by Autumn Talent. Full summer of nature education specific summer programming. Before I get into the pricing, I just want to hit that review on the bottom, which I put in your memo as well, just to illustrate last year. So nature camp, when it comes to equity, we treat it as a lottery system, just because we have such limited spaces in this program. So with the equity seats that we gave out, with the scholarships that we gave out at the end of the summer, and then our expenses of part-time staff and everything involved in the program. At the end of last summer, we were actually in a deficit of over $11,000. So we lost money on camp. So what we're really looking to do, obviously, in this increase is to cover that. But even furthermore, we're looking to make it so that we're breaking even within this cost center. Over the last many years, there has been a loss at the end of the year with the environmental education piece of it. So when you look through and when I list the additional revenues that we expect, which could be from 22,000, which I think is about 60 to 70% full if we were to be in that situation, all the way up to 58,000, which would be sold out across the board. While that's a big profit in this one program, I just want to make it a point that this will help us throughout the entire year. So we're looking at 7 to 8 weeks here on the screen right now, but I wanted you to think about the entire 50 plus weeks that we're doing programs. But with these increases, again, looking at DCR programs, looking at private programs around us, we're still one of the most affordable and one of the most competitive programs when it comes to a specialized nature program. So what we're looking at, the big change that you see on your screen is that Acorns K-1. The difference this year is that's going to go from a 2-week program to a 3-week program because of the length of the summer. When school gets out, when school's getting back, it's making it a little wonky. But we're also in a way that we're fortunate that this program actually does not take place at the schools. It takes place internally at our building where I am right now, as well as the Environmental Education Center over by Sewell. So Acorns is our most popular program. We have a substantial wait list every single year. So what we're going to do is we're going to introduce it as a 3-week program. We're going to add in another week of updated curriculum to kind of elaborate on the program and make it a little more, not intensive, but more new for all the kids that are interested. So that cost is going from $700 to $1,050, and again, that's a 3-week program. And then Sprouts, Rangers, and Adventurers is our traditional program, going from $700 to $750 on Sprouts and Rangers. And then Adventurers, which is a field trip based off-site program. So we're looking at, again, a lot of field trip locations, vendor locations, transportation for these kiddos. That's going from $400 to $450, and that's only a 1 week. So again, still affordable. We feel pretty confident on the Acorns. I know that number is jarring per se, but when we do look at the equity lottery that we do skew it so that we have more seats on that for parents and campers who are interested, to try to keep the access most on that. So that is Nature Camp. And Lauren, you got your hand up.
Yes, thank you. I want to just say that this is the most fabulous program. My son did that I think he joined in 4th grade, so at the end of Sprouts, and he did it every year, and it was just wonderful. I can't say enough about it. I'm curious about the lottery part of it. So you're saying only the equity seats are done by lottery, the rest of it is first come, first serve still?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we do the equity seats about a week ahead of time. Just so everybody knows how it works, all the eligible households that we have in our system, and by eligible, I mean they have applied for financial aid, they're in our system receiving financial aid, even if they went to Nature Camp or not, are notified that a lottery will be held, and if they're interested, to put their name in, and then we go through a random drawing here in town.
And so what did you say? There's like 5 or 6 seats per program?
Correct. Yep.
Per session?
Per session.
per
Yep.
session? And on average, how many do you get people join the lottery?
I think last year we had about 20 to 30 that joined, I would say.
Per program,
Right.
per
yeah.
session?
Or total, in total.
Oh, in total,
the program,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
Yep.
And is there any, is this sort of a pilot with Acorns? Or are you thinking of extending the other programs to more weeks? I mean, I know Adventures used to be 2 weeks,
Mhm.
back in the day.
Yeah,
But, because
we
that was
chose-
my one thing. Well, I know they're sequential too. That's the issue, right?
Correct. That, and we chose Acorn because of the historical demand that we've seen for it over
I
the
see.
years, more so than Sprouts or Rangers or Adventures.
Okay, well, no, I think this all makes sense. I mean, this is what you're saying is like the first year of last year not being without the ARPA money to see what things really cost, and that's when you find out whether what you have can support it or not. So I think these are very reasonable adjustments, necessary adjustments and reasonable. And I agree. I mean, even though it looks a lot more expensive than it used to, say for Acorns, it's really not. It's 3 weeks. I mean, everything costs more right now. And if you're trying to be able to keep, the equity seats in the program, I mean, that's just what has to happen. I completely get it. I have to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And then you have to try to, close the delta on your loss. So I think this is responsible, and I think it's really necessary, and I'm entirely supportive
Thank you.
to keep this great program going.
Teresa?
Yes, I'm curious, the hours, it says full-time. Do you know the specific hours on it?
This runs from 8:30 to 4.
Oh, wow, okay.
So full
And
day.
yeah, and do you, is there any reason why there aren't multiple sessions throughout the summer? Like, why do we only offer it one time for 2 weeks?
So we offer it one time, but in 2 locations. So technically there's multiple sessions to fill. So it's a 2-week stint, but it's happening simultaneously in 2 different sites. So it kind of elevates the number a little bit that we can take. So it's really 40 kids that we're taking for that.
Okay. I will say that these are very competitive prices. I just
Yeah.
went through summer camp registration because most of them open up in the beginning of December, actually, and this is half of what some other locations in Brookline are offering. So I think you could probably even charge more in the future, but it is nice to keep it open and as an option to watch more residents in town. So I think that in full support of these increases.
Thank you. Okay, and then traditional summer camp, so our summer day camp. When you think of camp, this is what it is. So our athletics, arts and crafts, field trips, just general fun play camps that Andrew and his team do. Again, modest increases. This was the biggest one, though, I do want to highlight when it came to the equity piece. We'll get into specifics of numbers when we talk about the financial aid update next. But when we applied financial aid of camp over our costs as well as our revenues and what we brought in, we took a loss of $45,000, so more substantial than we anticipated. Now, with summer camp specifically, this is one of our really mission-driven programs that we like to say we're not looking to make money on this one. This is an essential service for childcare over the summer. So when we look at the increases of our prices and the potential profit or the revenue side of the house, we're really trying to just break even on this one. So with that, we're proposing a $25 increase to each program of our traditional camps, Chestnut, Coolidge, and Washington. These are 1-week sessions, so $325 a week. We're planning on a 7-week summer right now based on the school availability of what we're able to get in with. And then Camp Kennedy. Camp Kennedy is a half-day complimentary program to the summer school program. So kids who need extra services during the summer for education, in the afternoon, we take them and we provide them a recreational opportunity in the afternoon. So that is a 4-week program. So we're looking to go $550 to $600 for a 4-week program, again, which is just a half day from there. And then the last piece that we're looking to reintroduce for our department is extended day. So taking the extending the care for families who need it. Last year this did not exist, so this year we're proposing a $20 a day fee, and that will get care from 4 o'clock to 5:30 at the conclusion of the day. And then just a note on that as well, when we're looking at potential scholarships, we took the scholarships from last year. The policy, again, we'll go over it, is not going to change when it comes to financial aid of summer camp, and we just applied that 7% increase, which is relative to what we did for the cost per session. So we, while I'm sure our numbers aren't going to be exactly what they are or what we're projecting, it should be relatively close. So, any questions on traditional day camp?
I have a question. I didn't raise my hand, but
Mhm.
do kids sign up for multiple weeks?
Yeah. Yep. So it's a flexible program, which is great. So you can sign up for week 1 and week 5, or you can sign up for week 1 through week 7. There's no limit, or there's no maximum and there's no minimum when it comes to weeks you can. So the majority, what we see is 4 weeks. That's the most we see.
Thanks, Tim. Teresa has her hand up.
I'm curious about counselor salaries. Are you paying what's aligned with regular Brookline seasonal employees, or what? How do you set the price?
Yeah, so we pay the living wage, which is minimum wage plus 1. So we have a tiered model. I thought I had it in front of me, but we have junior counselors, and junior counselors, lead counselors, and directors. It ranges from 17 an hour up to 22, depending on the need and depending on the ratio of what we need counselor to camper across each program.
Would you be bumping that up at all summer to summer?
We follow the town.
Okay.
We don't believe it's going to go up. It may, but as of right now, we're not getting word that's going to go up again. Our 20 to 22 is above, the living wage per se, but we're probably going to be pretty set between that $17 to $22 mark.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. I think that was it, and we already did questions. So, does anybody have any other questions?
Just have a comment. Thank you for the details. It was very
Yeah.
thorough. Thank you for going through that with us.
Yeah.
I second that.
It was really nice and clear. Thank you. So
Yeah.
now we're going to,
And I'll just say, so we're opening registration on January, where am I? I think I know this way. January 14th, and our next meeting is January 13th. So I will be looking for a vote on that 13th, so we can make sure that we can update those pricings. But if you have any questions in the meantime, please let me know before that. Unless we want to vote tonight.
Actually, I thought we were voting tonight.
Okay.
Apparently, I'm confused.
thanks, Tim. Okay, so now you're going into the financial,
Yep.
the financial aid policy for Recreation Department.
Yep. Great. Good evening, everybody. Tim Davis, Recreation Director. Talk to you. Financial aid. Okay, so as mentioned already during this piece of it, January of last year, we introduced our first real updated, refreshed financial aid policy, which we've been alluding to through that whole last piece. I think I have the more details. So again, here we go. So historically, prior to ARPA funds, we operated on a sliding scale based on applications, based on financial documents and income. But thanks to the 26th committee in 2022, we switched to that 100% ARPA funded assisted model. And then again, as mentioned last year, this current, calendar year was the first year that we did not have the ARPA funding and that we were absorbing all costs internally to the rec revolving account. As mentioned, our total award this year was $353,000, over $353,000. That far exceeded what we were anticipating. Again, wonderful that we've been able to make it work. but we need to have that honest conversation with ourselves that that's not going to be sustainable if we can going down this road. So this is the breakdown, as I alluded to, that I was going to show you of where our biggest costs were. As assumed, our biggest is outdoor rec. So I'll back up. These are our cost centers. This is how we manage the finances within the program division. Every program that is presented falls under one of these cost centers. All of our rec leaders live under one of these cost centers that they're responsible for. So when we're looking at these programs, they are tied specifically to these numbers. So Sewell Early Childhood Center, that is Sewell. So that is tuition to attend the program. We awarded 60 grand. Sewell Gym is that gym next to it. We have limited programs over there, mainly vendor-based programs. So small amount of scholarships there. Beak, as mentioned, camp, as well as general programs, which is Brookline Environmental Education, over 15,000. Our aquatics is our second largest because of those swim lessons that we keep. And then, I won't run through each one, but you get the sense. But our biggest ones being outdoor rec, which is our camp and summer vendors that we saw this year of that 172,000, and second place coming the aquatic center with the 43. Claire, do you have a question? Sorry, hand pop up.
Yeah, my question is because I thought in the information you gave us as well, mostly in the information you gave us, you said that you weren't going to give scholarships to vendor programs. And then I understood you had a vendor, but it wasn't really a vendor program. So when you say outdoor rec camp/vendor camps, are you still giving scholarship to the vendor camps? And what are the vendor camps?
So this is to review what we did this current year before I get into the changes, which will address the vendor piece of it.
Thank you.
Yep. So what's currently covered through financial aid. So where we sit here tonight, what's currently active is summer camp. As mentioned, we cover up to 4 weeks of camp, that traditional summer day camp, and then 2 weeks of the nature camp, as mentioned, that limited lottery system. In-house environmental ed programming with Autumn and her team, in-house Brookline Rec Youth Sports, TR programs with Melanie. So all of our programming for individuals with disabilities, we cover those, even though it's already super low. So anybody who needs it, we make sure they get into it. Our swimming, as I mentioned, we cover the intro level classes that American Red Cross states that if you get through these levels and completed, you are swim safe. You're able to swim on your own. So that's the child and guardian swim lessons. So for little tots and babies, preschool levels 1, 2, 3, youth swim levels 1, 2, 3, adult as well is in there. And then the dolphin swim team. So anybody who's looking to compete at the high school, we work with them to make sure they have the opportunity to compete with their teammates. And then we do comp individual and family passes to the pool. Sewell Education Center, as mentioned, we offer a discount there, 35%. And then vendor programs, which we currently do. We offer 1 vendor program per season. So if you were to register for 1 per season, you could get up to 4 a year. So 1 in the winter, 1 in the spring, summer, and the fall. So going into it, the reason here tonight is we have a few proposed changes that we want to adjust our policy on, changes as well as additions. And the biggest change, the biggest financial impact change being to the vendor enrichment programs. As previously discussed, so third-party vendor programs is a program that comes in and they operate a program under their title. So Chess Wizards, Right Brain Curriculum, the third-party private individuals that come in, we promote the programs, individuals from town register, but we have a set cost that we cannot change with these vendor programs, and it's usually pretty high. Traditionally, we put about a 15 to 20% fee on top of it to try to recoup some of our costs, but the majority, if not all, of the fee that is paid for these vendor programs is paid back to that vendor for their services. What we found looking in, kind of diving in deeply to the programs over the summer, as well as some of the bookended seasons when it came to when it came to vendor programs, is that a good amount of vendor programs were majority equity individuals, which again is great. but at the end of the day, we were taking a significant loss on these vendor programs. We weren't making any money, and that was stacking on top of each other, kind of adding to that deficit or adding to that requirement of the scholarship number that we were looking at. So what we are proposing to do is removing the vendor programs, covering the fee for the vendor programs, and really focusing solely on what we can do in-house as we have the financial flexibility with the in-house run programs from our staff. When it comes to the scholarship number, at the end of the day, that's a savings of about $55,000, which when we look at our increase of costs of staffing, full-time staffing, and insurance and everything that comes with it, that's a significant savings for us to help support that requirement coming out of the account. I'm going to actually stop there. Does anybody have a question on that? Lauren?
So I have hit the same wall in my program, and I'm, I suspect you have, how many kids, for example, let's take Chess Wizards. How many kids do you have in Chess Wizards?
It varies by season. I think the height in the summer, we have about 40, but in the non-summer, we can see 5 to 10.
So in how many classes? Like 3?
Yeah, I'd say
Yeah.
at least one to two a season. Yep.
So when you say you have the pricing isn't controlled by you, but I'm sure you negotiate it. Is there a way to, I mean, I've played, I mean, I've done this, but again, I probably have a more limited, I have a much more limited enrollment, like in terms of who I enroll, just one school. But something like, I'm sure they list on their promotional materials that they work with, the town of Brookline and the recreation department, and they want to keep saying those things. So I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, we've had success with some vendors
Yeah.
negotiating, like Taekwondo, for instance, they hold
Mhm.
equity spots for us, things like that. So we've
Mhm.
had some limited success.
Mhm.
But with these private companies, they're pricing their fees or their expenses as well to cover what they need to cover. So we haven't had much luck, especially
Mhm.
now, being able to get these costs down.
Yeah. Well, and I guess, if they did it one year, there's no saying that they would do it another year, and something like Taekwondo is progressive, right? So
Right.
it's difficult. Okay, no, I totally get it. It's just unfortunate, especially like something like chess,
Mhm.
but it is what it is.
Jane?
So did I hear, I just want to clarify something. Did I hear you correctly that it's mostly equity children that are in something like the chess club? Did I hear that correctly?
Not across, not universally. So we saw what's the right word? A subsection of programs that
Mhm.
if equity kids were not in them, the program wouldn't run. So with that, at the end of the day, the amount that we were covering with scholarship and paying out to the vendor, we were in the red significantly. And that's what the buildup of our concern was with the cost.
This is a sort of slightly different, maybe question that's sort of along that line. Are you hoping for something like chess where there is, some children that would like to do it, that you would be able to bring that in-house? Is that what you're hoping eventually maybe to do, or are you just thinking we can't do chess? I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, eventually we want to take everything in-house. I mean, we slowly do that with athletics.
Right, which I think is great. Yeah.
Yeah, so in an ideal world, we would do it in-house. It
Mhm.
just comes down to if we have the talent and the capacity.
Okay, thank you. That just a point of clarification. I appreciate that. I love that you're doing more in-house, so I just want to say that. So thank you.
Debbie?
Thank you. I just had a question. Do you reach out to any of the colleges or is there any sort of anything at the high school for like community service or the colleges like work study
Mhm.
for counselors? I mean, when I was a kid, I was a counselor in Brookline every summer. And it was some sort of program that was offered. I was just wondering if there's anything like that.
Yeah, so we're actually actively working with the library right now because they offer a lot of free programs and they do it in-house with their staff or their own vendors. So we're trying to compare right now with the library, just as an example. to see who they use, whether again it's in-house or somebody else, to try to find a different path for a few programs that we're looking at right now. So.
You know, I do want to dovetail off this, and I want to send it to you, Tim. There's English as a second language courses being offered through BC for free for people who live in the community. And remember, BC now is on the Brookline campus. So those are free. So I'm going to send you that because I got that because I obviously teach there. I mean, I know it's a completely different thing, but it is English as a second language. But I just wonder if there was outreach to them, you know, to their chess club. Do they have people that would be willing to do that? Because you know, they're doing things like that in lieu of taxes. And so I just think it's worth asking. So I'm glad, Debbie, you asked that question because it reminded me of that thing that I want to send you, Tim. So I will do that.
Yeah, take any contact you have.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that was the one financial piece to this. The rest are, well, the other piece, I apologize, extended day. It is new. So extended day, the way it would work is that we have our core staff really, and then we would be strategic, but we would be asking these individuals to be staying an extra hour or two per week. So our cost with overtime is going to go up. So we're not necessarily comfortable offering a full scholarship for $20 a day for the extended day financial aid, but we would like to offer it at 50% discount. So for eligible families, it'll be $10 a day to receive that extra care in the afternoon and the evening. And then the rest are just additions that we want to make sure get in and make sure that the public know about. So the first one, which is number 3, I think a little while ago it was announced, I let you guys know. So our department received a grant from the Boston Athletic Association, and that grant was to build an equipment library of sports equipment. Jake has been building that officially over the last couple months. And we're going to start, we are already putting it in play, but we want to make sure that everyone's aware of it. So we're just going to add it into the financial aid policy. What that is that for our field hockey and our lacrosse programs, because one of the barriers to entry that we're finding is equipment, it's very expensive, that we will cover the cost, which is included in financial aid, but now we're able to provide the protective and the essential equipment that you need to play the sport as well on top of it. So we just want to make sure that that gets in for this financial aid policy. It does not apply to vendor-run sports. So any outside, again, like we've been talking about, third-party sports, they can reach out directly to those vendors to inquire about equipment if needed. So adding in, again, just making sure everybody knows. Clara. Muted. You're on mute, Claire. Clara, you're on mute.
Mike, I'll repeat my question. You provide the equipment for all the kids on the team, or just scholarship kids, or anyone who asks?
Anybody who asks.
Thank you.
Yep. Carol.
Yeah, I have a question. Do you encourage families whose kids have, you know, given up the sport or moved on to other things to give their equipment so that it can be lent out?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, that's been a
good.
practice of our department for many years now. We continue to do it. Yep.
Oh, good. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. All right. Adult ed obviously is entering the game here. So we want to kind of treat this as we did every other program. So starting in January, we want to offer a limited basis of 35% off of base programming. And this includes the music extension program that we're seeing the most asks for. Music extension is the youth program for private one-on-one music lessons that we took as well, or we absorbed as well with adult and community ed. So we just want to make sure it's known out there that they can receive a discount for base-related programs. And as I mentioned, again, and on the screen, this will be our pilot year for this to see the demand. And then I'm sure we will either mid-year or at this time next year be adjusting or reporting back on this piece of it. Golf course, in this past season, we've invested in clubs, equipment for the public. both on a daily basis, but also a backstock. So we want to make it known that starting in this coming spring, golf equipment, specifically full sets of clubs, are available to any interested individual who's registered within our system within the scholarship program. So Justin and Nick over at the golf course, again, have been kind of building this slowly over there. So we just want to make sure that that's put into play. There will be further programming that we're going to be releasing in the spring that we're planning right now, more catered towards getting the youth out there on the golf course, introducing the game to those who've never played before. And this will be a perfect complement to that. So we wanted to make sure that this was in the policy. And then the sixth one, with the introduction of season passes, family and individual, following the model that we have at the pool. We want to make sure that we are able to give out these passes at no cost to those who are interested. This does not include actual skate rentals or private skate rentals, so private rink rentals. So this would not be able to be applied to, if you're looking to rent out the rink for a birthday party or something like that. But a pass to make sure that if you want access to the rink, you can get it. And that was it for financial aid. If anybody has any questions on that? Oops.
Thank you, Tim.
Any further questions?
No. Thank you again for a thorough presentation on it.
Yeah.
Very clear, very thorough. So we're going to give you a little break.
Nope.
No, you're going to do the update, right? You're going to do the recreation update. We're not.
Yeah, we're just
taking a
rolling.
break.
All right.
Well,
Don't worry, this one's short. But I think I got us back on track, so you're welcome.
Yeah.
So
Go ahead.
yep, I'm just bringing it up. I'm sorry. Cool. All right, here we go. All right, so the majority update, actually the entire update, is really facility wise. Well, where'd you all go? There you are. And we'll just jump right into it. So in November, we had our grand reopening of the Sewell Courtyard, which was very, very exciting for all the families and all the kiddos within the building. So we invited all the families out, extended families, to come enjoy it. We had a small ribbon cutting, hot chocolate, hot cider. Town administrator was there as well, helping to serve it out where the kids could fully enjoy it. This is the final product that we're just so excited for. So fully, just to run through everything that we did, all new surfacing, port in place, safety surfacing. Most importantly, under that surfacing, updated drainage systems. We've had a lot of rain, not as of recent, but in the past weeks, we've had some significant rainfalls. When that rain was done, the kids were out within minutes. No puddling, no overflowing, no nothing. So it's working perfectly. Shade structure, as you can see, front and center over that new mud kitchen. Over to the left, you'll see that new ramp leading up to the classroom. We put in some musical chimes for the kids to play with, and then that dedicated sand space in the back corner. So overall, just a wonderful update, a long time coming for Sewell. All the teachers were instrumental in getting this off the ground, and Brittany and Alexis and her whole team. So really excited to check that box. The only thing left we have are a few plantings. Obviously, we're not going to plant right now. So our contractor is going to come back in the spring, do some plantings around that rock wall, kind of beautification of the area. And we are all done with Sewell. So really, really, really exciting for that. The biggest one right now is the dehumidification project at the pool. I will say that everything is just going swimmingly. There you go. And we are on schedule to turn the new system on the 16th, so a few short days away. Old unit came off no problem, new unit went on no problem, and that team has been tremendous to work with. On top of just doing the dehumidifier on the roof, our team, in partnership with buildings, is really churning on smaller projects inside the pool that I think will be even more impactful for the community and the users of the pool. So just to name a few, we're doing a lot of updates to the locker room. The locker rooms and the restrooms, new paint, new tiling, new lighting, refinishing the lockers, getting rid of the rust, getting new paint on everything, really sprucing up the locker rooms and the restrooms for the patrons to enjoy. Our lobby, when you walk in, new painting, new decals, technology updates, cleaning the floors, the ceilings. We just put in a brand new water fountain, bubbler station, and we actually created a new conference room off of that. If you're familiar with the pool, there's this weird offshoot when you first walk in. We actually walled that off with ventilation, and now we have ourselves a new conference room and training room, which is excellent. Our stands for the viewing stands for the parents have been completely refinished, repainted. The seats themselves are being sanded down and refinished this week. So that's been a huge visual upgrade. Our actual deck, we're replacing a lot of the tiling. We're improving some of the surfacing. So we're getting rid of some high slip areas to make sure it's safer. And we're introducing a new intercom system and a speaker system inside the pool for announcements, both on a daily basis, but most importantly, in case there was an emergency, so we can communicate with those in the pool. And then the pools themselves have been completely acid washed. It's not paving, it's piping. Old piping has been replaced, and they look brand new. Lloyd and our new custodian, Mark, have been, well at work, literally in the pools, scrubbing away, making them look great for everybody. And then just small miscellaneous projects, everything from new filters, brand new filters in the pools, to new vent covers in the walls, really looking at the facility as a complete envelope, and everything that we can get done in the time. So just a few pictures so you can see it. As you see on the left, that's just the new unit going on the roof. Again, totally successful. It was great, always fun to see. On the right side, the two of our pools drained and cleaned, so looking sparkly fresh. And then the middle being the viewing stands. As you can see, it used to just be bare concrete. So it's being painted over freshly with blue, and then the railings were repainted as well. So small details that we really think make the biggest impact when it comes to the experience there at the pool. On the left, as you can see, ripping up old tiling and retiling, that's the dive well. Over years of water seeping in and other items that were there that weren't working properly. All the tiling was kind of bowing out, making it unsafe. So took it all out, and the masonry is over there this week. He'll actually be done hopefully by tomorrow, replacing all that tiling. Fresh lockers in the middle, and then we have a new heater that is on the right side of your screen. So making sure the temperature of our water is the best for our swimmers. And then this is just an idea of the piping. So on the left, you see we had old corrosive pipes. That's what the green is, the corrosion from that humidity. And you can see on the right, the replacement of it with those fresh pipes. We still have some to take out. I actually think at this point they are all taken out, but fresh piping. So with the new dehumidification system, that shouldn't be an issue anymore, protecting those pipes. And then our two hard workers right there in the middle. That's them in the dive well, getting out all that algae and all the stuff we don't usually see on the bottom. And so he's in the dive well there. On the right is our main pool, and on the left is our shallow pool, our lap pool. Our lesson pool. So they look brand new, and it's visually really stunning when you walk in to see the difference. Next, we have the golf course. We are officially closed for the season. As you would imagine, the temperatures, we went from fall straight into winter. So the temperatures dropped and we had to close down, especially with the increase of construction going on at the course right now. So on the 2nd, we officially closed, but we did have a final count of this calendar year, or this season. So spring into the end of fall, we did just shy of 42,000 rounds of golf this year at the course, which is a new record for them. So they're really excited to see that number. When it comes to construction, it's going very, very well. We've done significant work on 3 pieces of it. Hole 3, which is the picture on the left, we've created that new creek that you see separating towards the bottom of the picture, the tee box. Obviously, you can see the sand and the green towards the back. There's now a creek that goes through the middle, as well as a new marsh that's going to be planted on the left side. So again, that's moving all that water off that hole into that main channel, which is the main piece of it. Hole number 4, there's going to be a new creek that again is connecting this first one on hole 3. So that's going across hole 4. That's the middle picture. You'll see Justin acting like a construction foreman in that picture, talking to everybody. So that is just about finished. And then hole 4 and 6, in between the two, there is a channel that's already there that's being widened and cleaned out of all the overgrowth and the vegetation. So now that the ground is frozen, we're having an easier time because of the vehicles. They don't have to worry too much about sinking in for our most wet spots. So they're moving pretty quick now. They're out there today. They've been out there all last week through the cold, and they're making pretty substantial progress. So everything's going really well in regards to the golf course. And last but not least, the rink is open. We opened officially yesterday. The weather has been obviously prime time to make ice, nice and cold. So hockey teams were up there today. Open skate was up there. Girls teams, guys teams, everybody was up there, fully staffed, ready to go with everybody. And we're looking forward to the season.
Okay, nice.
Cool. And I'm done. It's your turn, Millie.
I'll take it.
Thank you, Tim.
Good evening, everyone. This is Miti Pradhan, Director of Parks and Open Space, and I will be going through our Parks and Open Space Division updates. First off, I'll start with our staffing updates. We had a few open positions, and I'm very excited to report that 2 of those positions are filled. Our forestry zone manager, Jay Silvestro, will hopefully, fingers crossed, start next Monday. And our parks craftsperson, Carlos Hernandez, was started already last week. So very exciting. Now I'm down to 1 open position and hoping to get that filled fairly soon as well. A few project updates on construction. I'll start with Pierce Playground. So if you all have been around School Street, you'll see that the Pierce Playground is closed, was closed in November, and the construction for geothermal wells are ongoing right now. Amory Playground, the contractor has made tremendous progress on the parking lot and creating some of the base work that is needed for the paving. And I'm also very excited to report that work has started in Amory Woods. So the existing boardwalk at Amory Woods was, will undergo full replacement, and the boardwalk has been demolished, and helical piles to support the new boardwalk is scheduled to be installed next week. So the installations will be starting next week. And additionally, Hallspawn Boardwalk decking work also started last week, and the progress is ongoing. So you can see here on the right, this is what the boardwalk color will look like. This is a thermally modified ash, and it looks really, really good. And with time, this will fade. The color will fade, and will all turn silver. But this is an extremely durable material, and we're super excited about all this work that has started. And the contractor is also looking to wrap up some of the work around the parking lot and the pathways around the tennis court for the season, primarily because a lot of the work that they have to do is weather dependent. And some of the paving for the bituminous concrete, which is essentially asphalt, the asphalt plants will be shutting down, might have already shut down because of, much cooler than anticipated weather in December this year. So they are scheduled to come back again, once the parking lot work closes. They will come back again next spring and continue with the work. However, in the meantime, the work within Amory Woods and Hallspawn will continue. They will continue to make progress on that. Schick Park, similar to Amory, we are again racing against time. The contractor is trying to get as much as possible done this for the rest of the construction season, which is essentially till around end of the year. So all the concrete pours for, all the park elements, including steps, pavilions, sidewalk, and walls, were completed as of today. So we're very excited about that because what that will help is, make room for installation of play equipment and fence, which is scheduled to start next week. You can see on the right here, it's hard to tell like what is going on here, but a lot of the existing proposed timber walls that's holding up the grade for the playground and the basketball fence is also very close to completing installation. So you can see a little bit of that work ongoing for in both of these pictures. And as I mentioned, like once all these like work, planned for this year is complete, the contractor will shut down and secure the site for the winter and resume back in spring again. So some of the work that we'll be looking at for spring work is installation of safety surfacing in the playground, and then installation of court and basketball court and loop back paving, planting, irrigation, and installation of the site furnishing. The next update that I have is for design and documentation. So for documentation phase, again, Monmouth Park, we are hoping that phase 2 of Monmouth Park will go out to bid in February with the hopes that as soon as the weather turns, in early spring, construction can start. And Skyline, we're again like working towards the 100% CDs with again like goal for Concom hearing later in winter. And finally, Griggs Park is in design phase right now with our next public meeting upcoming towards the end of January. I also wanted to give a brief update on some of the CPA projects that, Parks and Open Space has ongoing. One of the projects that we have as, part of fiscal year 25 is Lars Anderson Park Cultural Landscape Report. And I'm super excited to share that, after quite a bit of a lengthy RFP process and interview process, like we now have a consultant on board. We have selected Galzig Landscape Architects to do the Cultural Landscape Report, who is extremely experienced in preparing the cultural landscape reports, which will be a really key component in implementing a lot of the historic restoration projects at Lars. That work will, start immediately, this December. Then, we'll continue for the next couple of months over, spring and summer next year. We also have ongoing tree inventory work, and I realize that my number here is incorrect. I apologize for that. I will make sure that the number is updated when I send the slides for record. But we have, tree inventory and pruning and planting work that was slated for Lars Anderson Park and Walnut Hill Cemetery. So a lot of the inventory is complete, and some of the pruning and hazardous removal is complete. So what now remains is that, the final round of pruning at Walnut Hill Cemetery, and, a final review of any hazard trees that needs to be removed before moving on to planting at both locations. Clara, you have a question?
I thought CPA didn't allow for pruning. I thought
For the new, my understanding, Clara, is that like anything going forward from FY26 will not allow for pruning, but then for FY25 that, that was approved for FY25, but not going forward from FY26 was my understanding.
okay.
Similar to that, we have a lot more projects, as you can see in FY26 here. with, some projects like where we're trying to move forward, whereas like some, we just have not had the capacity to start. So I'll kind of like briefly go through those. So at, Old Bearing Ground, we had received the grant on historic preservation for Foster Fence restoration, and same thing, the Minnow Rose Garden trellis restoration was also part of the historic preservation grant. So we are working on those two projects, grants to get the contractor on board. And we are really hoping that, the work can kick off sometime this winter or by early spring next year. Similar to that, like I'm very excited also that the next one, Lars Anderson Outdoor Rink design process, we are in process of OPM and designer selection, and that work is again moving forward like in a great pace, and by again end of this year we hope to have a designer in place, and OPM again by early next year in January we'll have an OPM in place with work kicking off as soon as February next year. So all exciting things on that. Next two items, we have Coolidge Playground tennis court design and Ridley tennis court design. So, both of the work we have not have the capacity to start yet, but we're hoping that sometime, spring or early summer next year, we will start the process on that. And community garden at Elliott Recreation Center. So we actually, have started that process, like with the preliminary design ideas, and we've had a chance to review, at the site briefly with recreation, with Tim, and we hope that the full hearing on that will take place sometime February or March next year. So we'll bring that in front of the commission for review and approval, and with the goal to install the garden, for spring next year. And we also have another tree inventory projects as part of FY26 for Harry Downs Wallstein parks, and the inventory has started on that. And Amory Woods Boardwalk design and construction, as I mentioned during my Amory Playground update, that the construction there is ongoing right now. And the next three items are for, within our Parks and Open Space, but led by Sustainability and Natural Resources Division. So in all three of those projects, the sustainability team is working to acquire codes from different vendors and have scheduled for Concom review of the work that will happen within these like sanctuary areas and within this like habitat zones. And the project scope start dates are all varies between spring to summer to fall of next year. So, all work again, like anticipated for 2026. So again, all exciting things. Any questions on CPA before I move on to other slides? Okay, if not, just wanted to again remind everyone that our 2026 Green Dog program renewals have started since December 1 of this month. So you could, apply for this like online or through paper application, which can be received, by calling us in the parks number. Or by emailing at greendog@brooklinema.gov. Also, for our events for this year, well, not this year, next year, we have our first day hike led by Kira Huntress, our visitor services supervisor. So it's a hike on January 1st, 10 a.m. At Lost Pond Sanctuary. Again, if you are around in town, winter hikes are actually really amazing. Think about that. There will be no mosquitoes, so I highly encourage everyone to dress warm, bundle up, and join the hike. And that's it for me. Any
Minnie.
questions so far?
That's great.
Thank you, Millie. That was great.
Does anyone have questions? That was pretty thorough.
It was.
Yeah, Lauren has a question. You're
You know what, you've probably said it, and the two tennis court renovations, it was Coolidge Park and Ridley, right? When did you anticipate that work would begin?
Sometime next year, we would have to start the whole design review process on that, get a consultant on board and get the design review process. So we, sometime next summer, I would say.
Okay, I was just curious. I know you said it, and I forgot. Okay, thanks.
Then the final thing on the agenda is the update from Park and Recreation subcommittees. I think, Millie, you and Tim did such a thorough job. I'm talking about, the interview process and the RFPs that are out. I don't have anything to add. I know Michael was serving on one of the committees that met today to shortlist people for the rink study, not study, but the rink design. So I don't have anything to add. Does anyone else want to add anything about what they've been working on? Okay. Well, this is great. Another before even 8:30 today, so that's good. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, Jane. And a second.
So moved.
Thank you, Carol. All right. I guess I have to call the roll. Debbie.
Yes.
Michael.
Yes.
Carol.
Yes.
Jane.
Yes.
Lauren.
Yes.
Teresa.
Yes.
And I vote yes, and I wish everyone a happy holiday and happy new year.
Happy New Year, happy Merry
everything.
Christmas, happy Hanukkah.
And
Happy
see you all
everything.
in 2026. When I was growing up, I thought in the year 2000 I'd be really old. And here it is, 2026. What are you gonna do? And Teresa even has
I
her.
know.
So bye, everybody.
Good night.
Take
Everybody,
care.
happy
Bye, guys.
holidays.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Thank you very much. Happy holidays.
Happy
Yep,
holidays.
happy holidays.